Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
This is the Locker Room Podcast.
It's the Locker Room with Kirk Morrison, Willie Colon, Pat Bradley. One of the fun things about playing sports, obviously, is not just playing the games, but to me, it's always about shutting up the fans, the opposing team's fans. And that happened throughout my career. I know it happened to you guys. But, Willie, I'm going to start with you because I know you play for two franchises for sure that no matter where you guys played at, there was always going to be some fans heckling, whether you were with the Jets or the Steelers. Give me a couple of your favorite heckling stories that you've probably seen or been a part of.
Well, it actually happened in Oakland, your beloved Black Hole, who, by all accounts, should all be locked up. The whole Black Hole should be arrested. Yeah. Their most aggressive fan base next to probably Philly and Baltimore that I ever played with. I was actually with the Jets. I think it was one of my last year with the Jets, and I'm warming up before the game. And I didn't realize how close the Black Hole is to the players. Like, they're right on top of you. And so I'm warming up, and, I'm kind of getting myself pumped up. So before any pregame, especially when you look at the offensive line, we're usually getting off the ball. We kind of thudding it up. We kind of get our blood going. And I keep hearing somebody, hey, I can't see your last name, because my dreads were covering my last name. Right. And I'm like, what does it matter? And so I keep on practicing. So my coach, offensive line coach, is like, listen, man, focus, don't pay attention to them. You give them energy, they're going to keep going. Right. And so, of course, they had, I guess, I don't know what you call it, a guide, and they found my last name. And so my last name, obviously, is Colon. So I heard all type of donkey tail jokes, if you will, about my last name. And so to the point, I turned around and I was just like, you know what? He said something along the lines like, you suck and you are what your last name stands for and all this other stuff. And I was like, listen, how about we just settle all of this? You take one step across that barrier, and I can show you what it means to be in the NFL.
He was like, turn it up to volume 10, didn't you, Willie?
Yeah, because I was tired of it at that point. Right, and so he looks at me. He's like, you're not going to do nothing. So I kind of stepped closer to him. He's just like, well, you're going to get fined. I was like, I promise you, I'll waste a whole game check of whooping your tail. And he looked at me, and he was just like, all right, dude, I don't want no more. I was like, all right, back to business. And of course, my coach was to know. He's like, don't give him that much energy. But at some point, and I understand, you got to be a professional. You can't cross the line. Fans are going to be fans. But I got a job to do. And I don't want you to talk about me and my mother and all that stuff and expect me as a man to just flat out be like, all right, you got it. And that's why I don't blame Draymond for going at LeBron that time when he stepped over him. Like, I'm a man at the end of the day. Don't let the helmet and all the decals fool you, homie. We can go to the parking lot. And so that was just my mentality. But fans could be ruthless, and you just got to learn. You got to pick and choose your fights. But I was ready for that one, especially in Oakland.
Bronx coming out of Willie.
Yeah. What about yourself, Pat? Any heckling stories?
Well, first,
inside of the arena? Sure.
Oh, in the arena it's so intimate and it's so close. But one question I have: everybody knows Rihanna's a huge LeBron fan, right? I mean, she's in love with LeBron.
She's a Willie Colon fan, by the way, too. I don't know if anybody knows.
She's a Willie Colon fan. It goes LeBron, then Willie Colon.
Exactly.
Okay. So how does anybody in Golden State get her courtside seats? What do you think she's going to do? That is an opposing fan courtside seats there to heckle the Golden State Warriors fans. Now, Kirk, let me ask you a question. Sure. If you had courtside seats, you're a big Warriors fan. Are you going to give those seats to a known Cleveland Cavaliers fan?
A lot of tickets have their price.
Correct.
Tickets have their price.
Kirk.
And you're not talking about anybody. You're talking about Rihanna,
you're talking about Rihanna, and all of a sudden, trust me, those tickets.
Okay, I'll let Rihanna.
We're talking about the tech capital of the world right now. We're talking about Silicon Valley. I know how much those tickets cost to sit down courtside, and for her to take those tickets.
Crushed.
I wouldn't be crushed. I mean, I let her take the tickets. I'd probably sit over in the club section somewhere, some pretty nice seats. I mean, but think about it is I think it's more about the heckling though. Obviously, she's a known LeBron James fan, but you already know the stars come out for these games though, Pat. You know that. The stars come out. I mean,
I get it. You put her in the third row. Put her in the third row. So
I'm just saying,
heckle,
okay.
Her friend's going to heckle.
I'll put it like this. So all of a sudden, just say the Warriors were playing against the Knicks. Are you going to deny Spike Lee courtside seats?
Yes.
Because he's a known like Knicks fan? Like, no, he's going to pay the top dollar. You know he's going to be there. The thing about it is I love this about the game. I loved it. And I know Kevin Durant tried to shy it down, whatever, but it ain't nothing like shutting up some fans. It ain't nothing like shutting up somebody who, you know, like throughout my career when you're playing a game and, I mean, fans are going at it from the beginning. Especially, Willie, you know this too. That 1 o'clock kickoff, I mean, fans come in there liquored up, boozed up, they ready to go. Oh, yeah, from the night before.
Oakland from the night before.
Yeah, so we ain't even talking about like the morning. So they drinking, having a good time. And when they come into the game, they're like letting you have it. Morrison, you suck. Morrison, you're terrible. You did this. You're bad. And it's nothing better. There's no better feeling. No better feeling than when that clock up there has triple zeros and you won and you just say, hey, sorry, man. Have a nice day. I appreciate you for coming out. It's hard to go home a loser, but you know what I mean? Like, I do it.
Way nicer than me.
Yeah, I did it in such a subtle way, though. I mean, this is a PG-13 type of show. I don't want to go too rated R because some of the choice words
I checks, but you did not say that going off the field.
Yeah, I mean, because some of the choice words I did say. Trust me, not suitable for work. I definitely will tell you that because I definitely will let some people have it, man. And look, there's a ton of those situations where you see certain fans, and you know what, I'm gonna hold that too though, because I really want to get back to more of even celebrity sightings at games, because sometimes, you know, obviously when you play in a big game, stars gonna come out, but if they start to root and cheer against you, how do you handle that, or how you're supposed to handle that?
This is The Locker Room on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Hostile environments, some heckling stories, and I got a couple from the intimate sport of college basketball on the road in some road arenas, and people are vicious. It's amazing how when you get in, it's almost like you've got the person outside of an arena or a stadium, and then you get the fan that's inside the arena or stadium. It's almost like they think they're going to watch like the circus or something, and they feel like they can just throw some things at you. Before I get some Kentucky fans mad at me, but telling some stories, and Auburn fans mad at me, and Florida fans, Kirk, I know that as much as you've been around the league and battling against guys like Willie Colon, I'm sure you've had some experiences with the crowd as well.
I mean, I've been in hostile environments, man, and then you know what
is the most
happen.
difficult one, man? I've always wondered about the NFL. They talk about like Seattle.
Yeah.
But what, from a player's standpoint, what's the most?
I think I'm biased to this because I spent most of my years in the AFC West, and so I always like the look of Arrowhead Stadium where the Kansas City Chiefs play. It's a sunken down in stadium, so it's not one of those that's like built above ground. It's actually like built into the ground, so I feel like the noise stays in there. And those Chiefs fans, they're just yelling, they're loud, and you can't hear what you're saying. And those type of environments are the ones you hate the most, because when you're trying to talk to the person next to you and they can't hear you and you're screaming like, hey, tight left. And they look back like, I can't hear, Kurt, what? Like, those are like the moments where you're like, this is a hostile environment because I can't tell you what you need to be doing because you can't hear. So I always love those. I played in Seattle. Those are always fun as well because, you know, going in, it's more expected of you. When you play at home, it's kind of easy. You feed off the home crowd. You know, we were talking NBA Finals, last hour, and it's kind of easier for the home team, obviously, because you that energy from your home fans, it picks you up. But when you're on the road, it's a mentality of, man, it's us against the world. And everybody in here, it truly is like a gladiator mentality. Everybody here wants to see you suffer. They want to see you embarrassed. And our job is to cancel all of that out and just play our game. And so that's
how many times did you
memories.
Engage a fan? Like Willie was talking to us about him actually getting into it in locked-in eyes and challenging a guy Bronx style to go out into the parking lot, or if he was man enough to step onto the field, which he probably would have got tackled by 10 security guys if he did. But if Willie got a hold of him, he'd have been done. You ever got into it with somebody like that?
Yeah, but I think that we all have stories because we're pre-Twitter era. Think about it. We all played sports in the pre-Twitter era. Where, if we could
videotape and everything,
we could flip a bird here and there. You know what I'm saying? and it wasn't like, everybody had camera phones back then. They did have camera phones, so you were able to do some things.
By the way,
yeah, Mr. Met was flipping the bird the other day.
With four fingers too, middle finger.
10 years ago, if he would have done that, trust me, nobody. It would have been all kind of urban legend. Like, did you hear the time that Mr. Met flipped him off? You're like, no, I didn't. I heard about it, but I didn't see it. See, nowadays, anytime you do something, people are going to see it. It's going to be reported. It's going to be news. It's memes. It's GIFs. It's everything. It's everything. For me, back then, I engaged with the fans. I really did. I enjoyed it. And I tried to have a civil conversation with them in the beginning. Like, what's up? We're going to kick your butt today. I didn't say it in those words. We're going to kick your butt. What are you talking about? And it's so funny when they realize that we're just human beings. And it's funny that they're like, oh, you're actually a cool dude. Like, you know what, man? I'm going for my team, but, I don't mind. Hey, you're a cool dude, though, Morrison. I like you. I like you.
They want to get recognized. Fans want to get recognized, man. I'm telling you, Willie, whoever you got into it with that one day is still telling his kids about it.
First of all, Kirk, you're too nice. First of all, I don't talk to fans. I cuss at fans.
You cuss at fans?
It's a complete difference. When I was
that nasty streak.
Right. Part of the
See, you're nasty, Willie. Why you got to be so nasty to when I approach him that way, Willie? I honestly approach him. I'm like, why you got to be all that? Why you got to do you talk to your mother that way? Like, people, they look at you differently.
Trying to reason with them.
With all seriousness, my mother had a potty mouth like nobody else.
Oh, okay.
That was part of my makeup. But I tell you what, part of the Pittsburgh-Baltimore rivalry is that the fans is just as entrenched into the rivalry as anybody else. I can remember going to Baltimore. And listen, as much as I hated Baltimore, I loved playing in there, but it was hostile. And I can remember a lot of times when we drove, especially when we was making our Super Bowl runs, as we was driving into the end zone, they had a marching band that would play. And they used to play Flight of the Bumblebee. So the closer you got, the louder they got. And they would be banging down your helmet. And a lot of times we have TV timeouts, right? And I can remember seeing Steeler fans getting their terrible towels stolen out of their hands, and Raven fans running up the stands. It was hostile. Now, and for me, I always enjoy that. If you're going to spend a week, right, especially when it comes to big time games, you're going to spend a week of preparing. Everybody's emotional. You're losing sleep. You want to play your best. Your family's entrenched to it because they want to see you play well. You're going, at this, like you said, pre social media. You pretty much was tone deaf, so you stayed in your head, and you pretty much hyped yourself the whole week. Right. When Sunday came, or Thursday night or Monday night came, and you had a big-time rivalry, you had to let that out right then and there. And so that added to the intensity of the rivalry. That added to the intensity of the game. So for me, once I saw a purple or an opposite color jersey, I went red. Because I had so much of that built up in me from the week. I wasn't trying to understand why you hate me. I was going to let you know why I hate you and the fact that you even had the nerve to be talking to me on the sideline. And for me, everybody disliked the Steelers, but they respected the Steelers. And so our mindset going into it, we're gonna beat you up till you love it. And that's what worked for us. We were going to make you embrace the misery of kind of playing against us for 4 quarters. And that was just a steal away, and I embraced it. And I never walked off the field being like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that to that person. No. If you pay for the ticket, I'm going to give you all the show. And part of the show is a middle finger and a goodbye. So I was all about it.
This is a locker room with Kirk Morrison, Willie Colon, Pat Bradley, and I've got a little bit different perspective on it because of the basketball arena. It's pretty intimate. Football is rowdy. It's, tailgate for hours up until game time or maybe even since the night before. So one of probably the 2 strangest things that happened, we're playing at Auburn, and it's hostile. And we have this college basketball game, so it's pretty much the only thing going on campus like that entire week. That's all they're looking forward to, everybody building up to it. So as we're in the layup lines, they're yelling things out, things that I can't repeat, things that, of course, I'm an easy target. I'm an easy
You're from
target.
Boston. We expect it. You're from
but I'm
Boston.
an easy target, man. I mean, anytime.
We all watched The
Nice
Departed.
shot, Butterscotch. There you go.
So I'm looking. So we're in layup lines, though. This is a couple minutes before the game, and this was probably the most bold thing a fan. And I really it took me a while to understand, probably a few years to realize that fans are only heckling you to try to get your attention, to try to rattle you, to try to make sure that they're a part of what's going on down there on the court or the field. So this guy was the boldest I've ever seen in my life. We're in layup lines. I get the rebound. One of my teammates takes a shot, takes a layup. I get it out from the bottom of the net. I look. There is some fan, Auburn fan, in our layup. And I played at Arkansas, so it's easy to tell now who's who. This frat guy is in layup lines, hands out, ready to take the pass. And I couldn't believe it. I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? Tackle him? Hope someone's going to trip him? And none of the other guys realize it. He timed it perfectly. So I just took that ball, nice, beautiful two-handed chest pass right to his dome, and then we and then we escorted him out of the place. Actually, we just escorted him off the court, not out of the arena. But that intimate part of basketball is I loved it. I absolutely loved it because, like I said, I mean, they're just trying to get you, just trying to get at you any way you can, no matter what it was. I mean, people screaming and yelling. I remember one time we were running to the locker room, and, people are hanging over the balcony.
Right.
Some guy screaming something about, I don't know if it was my grandmother or my mother or probably both of them. So I jump up to slap the railing, try to scare him, right? Put a little scare in him. He was about a 45-year-old guy with a mustache.
Of course.
And, of course, right? So I thought, I was being a tough guy. I thought I was the one that's, So I jump up and, slap at him, and I don't know what – thank God that, I didn't get in trouble for it. Well, I look behind me. My assistant coach is right behind me saying, son, get in the locker room. We don't do that kind of thing. You take care of business on the court. So I learned after a while just how to handle those types of things. And it was fun, though. It was fun while it lasted. That's for sure. I mean, you always remember those things. That's what makes
you do.
Playing, like you said, going on the road and
right.
doing it on the court or the field. I mean, that's the memories you make and how special it is.
And that's the thing. I mean, you talk about a lot of fans and how they want to be interactive. I've seen fans run on the field, and they're more worried about us tackling them. I've seen some security guards make some great wrestling tackles on some fans that they should actually be hired for practice squad. I remember we was actually playing in San Fran. It was a Monday night. The lights had went out.
The lights went out. Yeah, the
right?
lights out. Yeah,
Remember
the
that?
blackout. Yeah, I remember the blackout.
And I remember this guy. I don't know who he was, but I don't know who talked him into it. But in his head, he felt like he was going to go all the way down to the end zone and somehow escape. But a lot of fans don't know the way off the field. So this dude not only makes it to the end zone, but now he's stuck because he can't get out. And I seen this security guard. He had to play college pro. He went for glory on this dude. I mean, he took flight and actually laid this dude out. And it was a gang pile after that. But to all you friends who worry about, well, I don't want to get tackled by James Harrison or somebody, you need to worry about the security because they live for moments like that.
Well, he's been training. In the offseason, he was doing his lunges, his squats. He was hitting the dummy. He was doing anything he could because, he felt like there was going to be a moment, his moment to shine. And to that, now, they all got it. Everyone's got their cell phone out, so the guy could probably go viral.
But what is it worth, though?
What is it worth?
Fans, what is it worth for a fan? All right,
hey,
so
man,
you're on the field naked. You're running through the Dallas Cowboys. What next? There's no exit strategy after that.
That's what we call when that oil is in you. When you got that good juice, that truth serum, all of a sudden the decisions you start to make aren't the best decisions. You know what I mean? Hey,
hopefully
dude,
he just won about $200 off of his boys.
Hey, man, you need to go out there and go run. Go run on the field. I bet you.
Right.
I bet you ain't going to do it.
And for an old-timer like me, I'm not chasing you. I'm not wasting my good air chasing your naked butt up and down the field either. I'm gonna let security put them good hands on you.
Then pause.
Definitely.
This is The Locker Room on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
My whole career I've always been, kind of the people's champ in the locker room.
I
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm so happy, I feel like I can fly.
Disclaimer, you will not be able to fly by switching to Geico. This is against the laws of physics and nature. If you find yourself flying, please seek professional and or medical help immediately. In the unlikely event you find yourself flying, you might be a superhero, or a pigeon, or a superhero named Pidgewoman, who was bitten by a radioactive pigeon. If you are indeed Pidgewoman, Geico retains all licensing publishing rights in the event Pidgewoman the movie becomes a top-grossing Hollywood blockbuster.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
This is the Locker Room Podcast.
Fellas, before the break, we were talking about Tiger Woods and his incident this past week. I can't think of an athlete that's, and maybe just because he's so high profile, that's been through so many different surgeries with his back and, of course, his Achilles, his knee. And with surgeries comes painkillers and prescription medications. And you two guys are in the thick of things, former football players, not only having to deal with that to play, but then you get off the field and you're still dealing with those injuries. So, Willie, what's the challenges of taking the pain medication and still having a function?
Well, I think it depends on are you used to taking opioids? And for me, I had a cousin that died from stomach cancer, so I was totally against it. After all the surgeries I've had, I would just dump my pills down the toilet because I was always in fear of what he dealt with and how the after effects would cause for me. That's why I'm for marijuana for athletes and some type of stress release or some type of alternative to help these guys get through this, because I'm not for stuffing pills down your throat. And that a lot of players don't even know what the pills are. They just know it's a painkiller and they take it. So that's dangerous in itself. But in regards to Tiger Woods, and I'm with you, Kurt, we have to throw out not even a disclaimer, but we do have to say, yeah, once you step behind a wheel of a car, you are responsible for your actions and those on the road. So I don't want to come off as insensitive in that regard. But what I am trying to say is that this is a man who was a PGA Tour money leader 10 times. So I doubt to think that if he knew the end result of taking a pill would land him in this situation, that he would have got behind the car. I doubt he would put his money or his image in that situation. So what I'm trying to say is I think Tiger, in all aspects, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to sit here and say he has a problem. I'm not going to sit here and say that we need to come to Tiger's rescue. I think it was an accident. I think it was a situation where he didn't expect it to happen. And I think you're right. Even with all that said, you still have to somehow think before you do, as your mom used to tell you before you leave the house. Mm-hmm. But when you don't put it all together and you're just trying to get home and you're in that much pain, you never know what the reaction you're going to have. And if you watch the DUI tape and you watch even when he was in a holding cell, this man wasn't in his right state of mind. Right. He just wasn't. And it was a hard video to watch. It was hard for me because growing up watching Tiger Woods, he was one of those guys that brought golf to the hood. He made black guys like me feel like, hey, it's a possibility because Tiger could do it. So I think Tiger is an elitist. He's iconic. And it's sad that at this point, we're watching him come down the hill sliding fast head first. And it seems like there's nobody right now that can really understand what he's really going through. And I think we all have to be sensitive into the fact that until further information comes out, until Tiger comes out and says what's really going on with him, that we don't place labels and judgment and that we let this thing take its course.
Well, here's my thing, Kirk. I'm going to jump in quick and then I'll let you take it. My first thing this week I was thinking about was he came out, was it last week or the week before, talking about how he's ready, how he's feeling better. He hadn't felt this good in a long, long time. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he's ready to play 4 days of 18 holes and grind it out during a tournament. I understand that. But for him to come out with a statement a couple weeks ago to say how good he did feel, and he's getting back to that, and there's no bigger Tiger Woods fan than me. No, none. I love the dominance of Tiger. So I'm hanging on every word, like hoping more than anybody else that he's going to be back. So I take that, and then I'm trying to make sense of the fact that he had this incident. He had to still be in a lot of pain to be, 4 different types of pain meds. So something's not adding up with he's saying he's on the right path, and now he's got to take still 4 different pain medications for him to not even play in a tournament. This was in the evening time, probably his relaxation time. So that's Kirk where like I don't know which side to get on here. Is it more than just I'm trying to get rid of my back pain, but he wasn't playing golf. So I just don't know, and we'll probably have to find out a little bit more, but that's where I'm at with Tiger right now.
Well, it's like peeling an onion, because you peel one piece and you're like, okay, but then there's another layer, and then there's another layer, and there's all these different layers to this story. Because with his decision that he made of getting behind that wheel, I automatically thought, Tiger needs help. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with him? Is he not telling us? And I go back to us as masculine macho men. What do we always do when our buddies come up to you and they're like, "Oh man, how you doing, man? How that knee doing? You look like you're limping." "Oh man, you know I'm good. I'm all right." Nobody's gonna be like, "Man, this knee is killing me every single day, man. It's hard for me to walk." Everybody wants to have that. I feel great. I'm good. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. And it's one thing for me if Tiger, this happened in the middle of the day, happened at 7 p.m., 8 p.m. It's 2:45 in the morning, 2:45 a.m. That's just bad decision making.
You're not at the driving range.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
You're not on the putting green.
So I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and you guys can help me here. Is because Tiger Woods, and remember, I'm not Tiger Woods. I'm not a public figure like Tiger. But this does, I think, garner for him to have some sort of press conference. Look, we're going to see the Tiger Woods true story. He's going to have a sit down with, I don't know, who's he going to have a sit down with?
Like, Tom Rinaldi's going to make everybody cry.
Rinaldi,
he's going to do the stories that make everybody cry.
Yeah, a little boy sitting down, thinking about what he would be in life later. I mean, it's going to be one of those, who is he going to sit down with to tell his story? Because it did give me more questions about where Tiger is. I'm sympathetic in the fact that, I myself have been, have taken prescription pain meds. And so I understand, look, sometimes the back or the body just doesn't feel right. And you want to make sure I need something, because this pain is too much. It is Tiger not telling us how he feels. I know it's his position. I mean, he can keep and say what he wants to. That's fine. But when you get behind that wheel, that throws everything out the window for me. Now, I need to know what's going on, brother, because that decision that you just made could have cost someone else their life. That's what I'm more upset about. But I think going forward, would he play meaningful golf? You know what? I don't know. I care more about where's Tiger at, because I put myself in his situation of what's going on over the last, 7 to 8 to 10 years with Tiger, since everything has happened. There could be anxiety. There could be depression. Those are the questions that automatically went in my mind when I saw him and I saw that dash cam video of a guy that really just looks lost.
This is the Locker Room with Kirk Morrison, Willie Colon, Pat Bradley, and let's go to the phones, fellas. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. We got Marty in Las Vegas. Welcome to the show, Marty.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I just first want to mention that I'm a recovering addict, and I know exactly at times where the mindset is. You brought up a great point mentioning that 2 weeks ago, Tiger mentioned he hasn't felt better in the last 4 years than he felt 2 weeks ago. It's a clear statement, and usually a statement made by somebody who's not on pain medication, okay? But the problem with pain medication is it's addictive. And whether the person's an addict or not, it doesn't really matter. Once the problem starts to taking pills, the body demands it. Right. You can't have 4 narcotics in your body and make a mistake. There's only one person who put those in there, and they're separate medication. And for a guy who's had as many surgeries as he's had and who's probably had to take a lot of medication, he knows the effects produced by those medications. I don't know where he's at, but I can tell you one thing's for sure. He's in a dark, lonely space, which is very, very, it goes hand in hand with drug addiction. I'm not saying he's a drug addict. I'm saying that he's been taking medication, and like a lot of people in the country, this is a big problem throughout the country. This might be a really big thing for society, never mind just for Tiger, that we get a person who says, yes, they're giving me prescription pills, anything I want, whenever I want it. That's what's going on in this country. We don't really get a chance to talk too much about it, but with this incident with Tiger, we may get to. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for the call, Marty. We appreciate it. And we've had a lot of takes from around the sports world on this, and I want to get you guys some sound of Stephen A. Smith from First Take. He weighed in on Tiger Woods, and then I want to get your reaction, Willie and Kirk.
What really resonates and is really vexing, and should be vexing to us all, was how the guy was essentially living the life of a complete phony and got exposed. I'm not saying that to denigrate him in any way. I'm speaking about facts. You went about the business of making yourself into a billionaire because you marketed yourself as the wholesome family guy, with the beautiful wife, the beautiful home, the beautiful game itself, and the beautiful image. It was meticulously and carefully crafted to manipulate the masses.
That's hardcore right there. Now, I can't get behind a lot of that because part of Tiger got on the scene at, 12 years old? He's chipping and putting on primetime TV. He was a young guy. So you cannot hold him, I think, responsible for trying to craft this image. He was still trying to figure out who Tiger Woods was at that time, and still is probably like we all are. I don't care how old you are.
Right, and I think Stephen A. has a point there, though. I mean, when you are and as elite and you're an iconic figure as he is, every move is calculated, and so that's why when you go back to this incident, it's hard to say, well, and to Kirk's point, it's like, man, what were you thinking when your whole career has been, every move has been calculated, you've always thought about it. How do you get to this point? And I'm not, to the last caller, and I get it. Addiction right now is a huge epidemic. It is, and I'm from New York. I see it walking down the streets. I know, Kirk, you see it in L.A. It's all over the place, and we do need to talk about it, and we have to be sensitive to it. But I don't think, and it's just as me. I don't know where Tiger's at, and I'm not ready to put out there and say he has a problem. I don't care if he has taken painkillers in the past. I've never been addicted to anything. I don't have that type of input, rather, or insight. But what I can say is at one point, and this is why I think Stephen A. is right. You can't play the holier than thou role and expect sympathy from people who've watched you your whole career, and now say, well, it was just a mishaps. Well, even if it was, you still have to pay attention to the point that there's kids watching you. There's people who look up to you, Tiger. Jack Nicholson has come out and was like, listen, I feel for Tiger. If he does have a problem, it's up to Tiger. It's up to his own accountability now to go figure out what's really going on with him and fix this. And if there's something to fix, allow himself to be vulnerable, because that's the only way people are going to start believing back in Tiger, is when he opens up and allows and talks about his road and what he's been going through. And I think that's where we have to wait and let him tell his story. And it's not for us to rush or kind of or place judgment or even call him an addict or whatever name you want to label him. We have to let Tiger be honest and open, just like other athletes around the country who have fallen from grace come out and say, hey, this is where I was at. This is why I did this. This is the state I'm in. Because at that point, you allow fans or the powers that be to say, you know what, we get it. Where can we move on from now?
That's a good point. This certainly is not going to end here, and we're all hoping Tiger gets back and competes on a level like he was just a few years ago, PGA Tour Player of the Year.
This is The Locker Room on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
A little bit of baseball talk, not just what we just heard right there from the Albert Pujols joining 600 home runs, but there was this bit of thing called the unwritten rules of baseball. And I can tell you this, Willie and Pat, I've been trying to find this unwritten rules, this book, and it's not on Amazon. It's not at my local Barnes & Nobles, but I say that because this week, Bryce Harper, the outfielder for the Washington Nationals, and Hunter Strickland, pitcher for the San Francisco Baseball Giants, got into a little brouhaha this week on the field. We had a record-breaking moment in the fact that I guess two guys got suspended in the fact of Hunter Strickland was suspended 6 games, and then you have a guy like Bryce Harper who was thrown at. Let me just take you through the whole scenario. Hunter Strickland, a couple years ago, had got the ball basically knocked out of the park by Bryce Harper on 2 separate occasions. This happened like 3 years ago.
Smoked them.
When the Giants were in the playoffs, okay? Giants were in the playoffs. They ended up going to the World Series, all that great stuff. So 3 years later, now Hunter Strickland throws right at Bryce Harper. And immediately, Bryce Harper just takes off and runs out to the mound, and the brouhaha ensued, benches cleared, and things like that. But there was also one note in here, and I definitely want to get both of your takes on this as well. The catcher for the San Francisco Giants, Buster Posey, former MVP of the National League, did not react when his pitcher ran out. Was about to get into a fight with Bryce Harper. He was told by management, fellas, to not get into any fights. Now, I know you guys have had teammates. I know you've probably been in a situation where a teammate has kind of gotten into an altercation. I'll start with you, Willie, because the Pittsburgh Steelers are known to be a unit, and as far as the offensive linemen.
Yeah, we're tail takers. We take the tail. That's what we do.
So I'll ask you this. An offensive lineman for the Steelers was in a little scuffle. What do the other offensive linemen do when they see one offensive lineman either attempting to fight or down in a fight?
Well, listen, it's just a code of ethic. If your brother's fighting, you better not be the one watching. That's just how it goes. If there's a scrum or a fight, if you're standing outside the pile and everybody else is mixing it up, and you're saying if you – first of all, I'm from the belief do not pull me off a fight. You better be in there fighting with me. I'll pull myself away or the ref. Mm-hmm. I hate if I'm in there in a scrap or me and another guy's into it and I'm getting pulled. If you really want to help out, get another guy that's holding on to me. But this story reminds me of when I was with the Jets. It was a Thursday night. We were going against the beloved Patriots, and that's why the story resonates with me.
Buddy.
Towards the end of the game,
always
Geno
comes
Smith,
back to the Patriots.
Right. Towards the end of the game, Geno Smith threw a pick, and Nick Mangold was chasing down the interception by Talib Kweli. I think that's
Aqib Talib.
Aqib Talib. I messed up with the rapper. Sorry.
I see where your mind is at. Hip hop,
exactly.
Willie. I like that though.
Anyway,
so from the Bronx, man. Of course.
Exactly. So Nick, goes to make the tackle. He rolls accidentally on the back of the legs, and it's a flat out melee at this point. Belichick's yelling. The guys on the sideline are yelling. So I'm watching the play because I was trailing it, and I watched the Brickashaw Ferguson run over there. And listen, if you know the Brickashaw Ferguson, he's not a violent guy. He's a guy that goes to work. He's a perfectionist. He's a technician. He's not one of those guys that's going to kind of mix it up with you at the end of a play. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching Nick getting jumped on by the Patriots, and I see Brick run over there, and Brick starts getting into the melee. So when I see Brick go. And considering I know Brick's personality, it was go time for me. And as I'm running over there, I'm pushing guys, and I feel somebody tug on me. And so I'm thinking he's either one of my players or if one of the Pats. It happened to be the ref. And so for me, I kind of shrugged him off, and the ref went flying. And we're getting into it, and they end up breaking it up. So they end up injecting us because Belichick, with 10 seconds left in the game, was like, those two guys, 60 and 66, get them out of here. So that's why one of the reasons I hate Belichick.
That's why
he got you kicked out of the game.
10 seconds left in the game. You would have called me and the Brickashaw Ferguson out to get kicked out of a Thursday night game. But on hindsight of that, what makes me more pissed off is we all talk about that letter, that mail that's waiting for you on Monday when you get to
the one that
locker
says
room.
the one that says 345 Park Avenue, New York.
Correct. One, I did not start the fight. I had to be there because my brother was fighting, but I got fined the most. I got fined $35K.
Woo. What?
I got fined $35K.
Come on,
they said
man.
I pushed the ref, and the ref was behind me. I didn't even look at him.
We'll see.
And so, even though you love to fight and you love to be next to your brother, after that, I slowed my roll all the way down.
So you would so you agree with Posey? So you're taking the Posey stance in this.
Listen,
the Buster Posey stance.
For me, if I would have known it would have been that much. I think I would have tapped out a little bit. I gotta be honest.
Willie,
I would have fought in the locker room rather than on the field. $35K it cost me.
Willie,
for
you got to appeal that, right? You got to appeal that, right?
Yeah.
You send in game tape and say, look.
So listen,
contact with an official. It just doesn't matter.
I appealed it. You know how much they took off? $5,000.
$5,000. Yeah, it's still contact with an official.
So,
yeah, man.
Do you get to pick what charity? Do you get to pick what charity?
No, you don't have no. The NFL says it goes to charity, but looking at Roger Goodell's salary, questionable.
You never know. Oh, man, you're listening to The Locker Room here. Willie Colon, Pat Bradley. I am Kirk Morrison. Pat, any stories of where you got into a little altercation? Whether the player or you see one of your guys out, and you say,
here's how basketball is. Yeah. Here's how basketball is. You in practice, because when the stakes are highest in basketball games, there's only a few times you can actually retaliate. In football, you got scrums, and I've heard about what you guys do to each other in the bottom of the pile with the thumbs here and the thumbs there, and who else knows what an elbow is?
Checking the oil.
Right.
That's it. Checking oil. You guys have multiple scrums under there where you can check each other's oil. In basketball, you have like maybe one or two times during a game where you can retaliate. And the same with baseball. It's like, maybe if you slide into somebody, if you got something going on with the second, third baseman, that, a shortstop, you can slide into them. So it's difficult to actually retaliate. But with basketball guys, in games, it's going to take a whole lot for somebody to start throwing fists. In practice, it's a little more common. But what I have found, and it's happened multiple times during practice, coming to practice, everybody two guys start to get into it. Everybody on the team goes, take it to the locker room, fellas. Take it to the locker room.
Yeah.
So by the time two guys walk into the locker room and we all walk in after them, they're all there like drinking Gatorade together, playing video games. They didn't really want to fight, man.
It's different,
they didn't really want to fight.
See, here goes my story, Willie. And this is a story that I was playing with the Buffalo Bills, and here I am. Our defense were out there, and it was a situation where I think they had nickel in the game. I had only played the base package, so when nickel was out there, the nickel package was out there. We're playing against the Dolphins. It was a run play. Went to the Miami Dolphins sideline. So as the play is kind of going on, it's kind of ending, and Mike Pouncey, the center, grabs our cornerback and lifts him up in the air and pretty much kind of dumps him into the bench area.
I remember that. Yep.
And nobody on defense, because we had a lot of young guys. This is where general managers, we're going to play the young guys and do all that. Okay, I understand it. But the young guys that understand that is our brother right there. You got to go get him. And here I am. I'm on the opposite sideline, and I'm like literally trying to run onto the field to go grab him and get our guy and say, what's going on? So this happened toward the end of the half, okay? So before the half was just about to end, I mean, I'm still living. I got two other guys. We live it, and we're older guys in the league. We're in years 7 and 8 and 9. So you understand, like, okay, this is a respect factor. So before the half is over, teams are already done. We ran the last play. We're heading up to the tunnel, and I race up to the tunnel to meet Mike Pouncey and said, look, hey, and God, I wish, I could use some of the choice words I really want to, but I can't because of the airwaves here. But it was like, look, homeboy, them lights ain't on over here. You can act like that here, but we in the tunnel. Ain't nobody looking. You want to act that big and bad? I'll step to me right here like a man. Oh, man, come on, man. It's the game, man. Ain't no game here. Because, dude, you want to do it to me? Let's do it right now. Because when you throw some dude, our cornerback at the time made like 175, 180, soaking wet.
Inside the lines. You weren't buying that. It was just something that he did inside the lines.
It's just everybody wants to be a tough guy a lot of times between the lines. And there's certain guys, Willie, and this as well. There's certain guys who okay, in between the lines, he's a tough guy, and off the field, he's a tough guy. But there's a lot of guys who act tough on the field, but when they get off the field, they don't want that heat. They don't want that same type of intensity. And so he tried to laugh it off. Oh, man, come on. It ain't even that big a deal. Because I was serious. I had my helmet off. Like, take your helmet. We can go to blow. This football stuff look, I'm done. I'm an older guy in the league. I don't care about all this. I got nothing but respect I'm trying to earn here. And you ain't going to disrespect my teammate because that's my brother. See, those are the kind of things that we have to, like, as older players, I said, I want to teach my younger guys that you don't let that person do that to your player because you need that man. And if you do that, then guys think that they can just run all over your team. And that's where you start to develop the mindset. Some teams already have it. Some teams didn't have that.
That's it, man. Setting up that's that mental advantage. That's a mind game sometimes.
Well, Kirk, to your point, I think you also forget that Pouncey got fined heavily, just like me, for doing that. I think he got fined like 50 or 60.
But this is the early Pouncey years, though. This is the early Pouncey years.
No, but I get to your point. Yeah. That's why it's important for a lot of older guys in the locker room to let them understand.
Right.
Like, listen, when you're out there, we don't have to like each other going to work. That's irrelevant. Exactly. When we're on the road or we're at home and we both wearing the same helmet, you're my brother. And that was always what I tried to implement to a lot of young guys, even for guys who probably weren't necessarily as aggressive or willing to kind of cross that line.
Right.
We're all in together. And for me, it always spoke more to me if we're out there scrapping and you're the one guy that's kind of just standing to the side watching it happen. Because that means you're not really all in. You're just worried about your job, and as you should. But there's more to be a successful team, to be a competitive and be a team that needs to be feared. You have to be. If your brother's on the sideline, you better be on the sideline fighting with him, or on the field fighting with him. It's the same thing like your mama used to say. I don't care what happens between you and your brother. If somebody jumps on your brother and you're not fighting, I'm gonna jump on both of y'all. And that's the school I come from. So I never liked it. I never appreciated this when guys say, well, there's a time and place for that. Well, there's no other time and place if somebody smack you in your mouth. Use that time right there to really establish what you're about. And so that's how I felt. Is it always necessary to fight in football? Does it show a lack of discipline at times? Are you hurting your team? Yeah, you can say that. But I'm always from the school of, I'd rather say, and I get this from Mike Tomlin, I'd rather say whoa than sick him. I'd rather pull a guy back and say, well, all right, calm down, big fella, than to say, hey, we need you. This is the time for you to kind of establish that 6'6", 380-pound weight of yours. If you want to jump in at any time, I don't want to have a conversation with my teammate. I want to know once those cleats are on and that helmet's on your head, it's time to go to war with anybody at any time and anywhere. That's a guy who I want to go to war with.
This is The Locker Room on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
My whole career, I've always been, kind of the people's champ in the locker room.
This is The Locker Room Podcast.
There's a video circulating right now on Twitter of New York Jets defensive lineman Leonard Williams. He appears to break up what looks to be a possible dispute between a man and woman, and the man is believed to be his teammate Darren Lee, and it was an unidentified woman. We still don't know the story behind that, but it was at a music festival in New York yesterday. Williams, the 6'5", 300-pound first-round pick of a couple seasons ago of the New York Jets, is shown forcibly removing this man, who looks to be Darren Lee, from the apparent altercation, pushing him at least 15, 20 feet away from the woman. Now, Williams posted this Instagram video of him and Lee at the festival a little bit earlier, that's showing having a good time, and the clothes of which the man in the or the video that's now being circulated looks to be the same clothes that were worn in the video posted by Williams earlier in the day. So this incident happened at the Governor's Ball Music Festival on Randall's Island. There were no arrests stemming from this situation, to be clear. Make sure we're clear about that. There were no arrests stemming from the situation, according to New York police, and the Jets have declined comment. Now, I'll start with you, Willie Colon, my former the former New York Jet great. This has been a quiet offseason, to say the least, to say the most, I think, for the New York Jets. Hasn't been a lot of fanfare. There's, obviously the one thing that was, said a little bit earlier about Sheldon Richardson saying there's 15 reasons why this team will be different and the locker room will be different. And now sort of the first incident, I would say, for the New York Jets this fall season. What is your take on the video that's being circulated around right now?
Well, I think this video should be I don't know if the right word is awarded, but it should be appreciated that at least you have two teammates out at a music festival. Obviously, there's liquor involved in some aspect. That Leonard Williams, being the newfound leader of this team, was accountable for a guy who was a rookie last year. I mean, we talk about being accountable, be your brother's keeper, and that's what Leonard Williams was doing. Now, we don't know what happened, but for that to have that type of reaction, honestly, Leonard Williams realized that, hey, this can go south. And the last thing the Jets need any type of distraction during this offseason, during the season. At least he had the foresight to say, hey, you're out of line, or maybe she's out of line. And at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter if she's out of line. Leonard Williams did a great job of saying, hey, let me break this up, let me diffuse this. Now, the issue is when you watch this video, he picks Darren Lee up like a little baby, and he's shaking him like a rattler. So that's what's disturbing about it. If you want to go back, you want to take anything from this video, is at least Darren Lee has to put on at least 20 more pounds, because I would never let a grown man pick me up like that if he's diffusing anything. But you have to give kudos to Leonard Williams to at least say, hey, we don't need this. You don't need this. I don't need this. Let's diffuse this. Let's be smart about this. Back away. You're not going to win, especially anytime you're in an altercation with a woman. You don't need that type of distraction nor that type of turbulence within the locker room. And I'm glad that Leonard Williams had enough, if you will, awareness to say this needs to stop now. And if I have to forcibly move you, I'm willing to do it, and he did.
Willie, I'm going to add to what you say, because everybody, you watch that video, okay, and that is exactly what you need. Because there's going to be two different kind of guys, okay? There's going to be the Leonard Williams and the Darren Lee. Depending on, you've got to know yourself. So you got to surround yourself with somebody who has got a little bit more level head. See, me, I'm the guy that would be breaking things up, right? So before you go out, and this is just advice, a warning, take it how you want to take it. You got to plan to take out with you the right people wherever you're going to make sure you got one guy who's level-headed. If you're going out with a hothead, well, you better make sure you know if you're the hothead or your boy is the hothead, because you may have to be the guy that separates everybody, but it's about planning, fellas. There's so many times I've gone out, had a couple buddies with me, and I knew by the end of the night I was going to have to try to just make the peace somewhere. So I was always anticipating it. But I will give definitely a game ball, because the right decision was made. You had a guy who stepped in, knew the repercussions of it, knew the right time to do it, and knew how to do it. But always remember, surround yourself with the right kind of people, just in case you get in a situation like this. You get all hotheads, you're going to be in problems. It's going to be big-time problems.
I'll even crank it up one more step. Considering that this was an altercation supposedly with a woman, and when you look at the image that the NFL is going through now with Joe Mixon and Ray Rice, there was no room for error here. I mean, you have to think about Leonard Williams did the best possible scenario. He did the best thing during this situation. Listen. If you're a ball player right now, and anytime
he may have saved Darren Lee's career.
Yes.
Let's be honest.
Yes. Because even if Darren Lee didn't start it, or if he did anything, that's not even an issue. Anytime any athlete right now, and any man rather, is in an altercation with a woman, it is in your best need to just walk away and just stay way away from an altercation with any person, let alone a woman. So I give kudos to Leonard Williams for stepping up and saying, hey, you are in hot water. Let me pull you out of this, because it won't be a light at the end of this tunnel. So this should be a video that all 32 teams should be showing guys right now. That listen,
but that's the lesson, though. It can escalate so quick when you're in the middle. When you're in the middle of an argument, you don't know how it looks from the outside. So you always got to be looking to see, that doesn't look too good. You may think you're just engaging in a loud debate, but it looks like a full-fledged argument. I got to get you out of there. So optics are big time too, man. How things look.
Man, you're listening to The Locker Room with Kirk Morrison, Willie Colon, and Pat Bradley here on ESPN Radio. But I think you mentioned it, guys. I still think that what Leonard Williams is doing, and this is what we're taking from this video, is that he's physically picking up his teammate, Darren Lee, and moving him to an area that is de-escalating a situation. We don't know what could have happened. We don't know what the incident was about. But that may have saved Darren Lee's career, just that moment. And this is what we're saying. And I had a coach who used to always tell me this, and it was so funny, because when he's talking to you as a rookie and first time, and then, in the NFL locker rooms, whatever, you're like, oh, what does this guy know, whatever. But as I got older in my years, I started to realize, man, this dude was actually pretty smart, meaning that basically said, you don't know when it's going to happen until it happens. And I'm like, dude, what do you mean by that, coach? He said, because you don't know when it's going to happen until it happens, meaning that you have to prepare or always be on guard, because you don't know when a situation can happen. Look, these are two guys who are having a good time. When Leonard Williams posted a picture earlier, he and his teammate having a good time at a music event, enjoying the day, and then all of a sudden maybe a fan, or we were talking a little bit on the program today about a heckler. Look at these two sorry Jets. Oh, the Jets, you guys play terrible. You're horrible. And, if I'm having fun with my friends, I'm having a couple of drinks, I may get out of my way. And then what? And then all of a sudden that escalates. So for me, you don't know how you're going to handle a situation until you're in that situation. And I applaud Leonard Williams here. I think this video needs to be put and shown to all 32 teams, especially to the rookies coming in, because sometimes when you're even in the situation, you don't even know what it looks like being out of it, meaning that if, Willie, you got something going on, and I'm looking like, hey, Willie, this doesn't look right. Hey, Willie, come here for a minute. And you're like, wait, what's going on, Kirk? Hey, dog, just from the optics of what I'm looking at right now, there's like a situation that may happen. So sometimes your best – the best decision that you can be made that can be made for you may be from someone else. So that's how I'm
all
look
need
at
a
this
Leonard
video.
Williams in our lives. We all need a Leonard Williams, or be a Leonard Williams. And
right.
The fact that you said people go to this event, and the fact it was called the Governor's Ball, I don't know if that makes it a little more classy than a regular kind of music festival. But you always got to keep your guard up. Right. You guys understand that. You've always got to keep your guard up because you will come across somebody who may. I've had people just casually in situations say that directly to my face, how terrible they thought that I was. And you get two ways you can react to it. And there's one's the right way and one's the wrong way. And you can it could turn ugly real fast. So you got to keep your guard up at all times.
Yeah, I think as an athlete, you just always got to realize you have more to lose at the end of the day. And it's best to just walk away, even if it does toe the line, or if it's flat out disrespectful, or it agitates you. You're never going to come out on top. So, I mean, like I said, once again, kudos to Leonard Williams for having enough know-how and awareness to understand that this situation is going nowhere. It's not in the best of both of our interests. Let me pick up my 210-pound linebacker and remove him. This, like you said, Kurt, and that this needs to be shown around the NFL because we are accountable to each other. We're wearing the same helmet. We're all in it for the same thing. We both have a family to protect. I need to remove you. I mean, I don't think there's a better video that needs to be out for the NFL other than this one right here.
210 pounds, huh? That's what how big he is. Huh? That's it.
Hey,
we gotta get Darren Lee some weights, man, or something.
Some whey protein.
But the last thing to kind of put a bow on this one, because we gotta get into some Cavaliers Warriors game 2. That's going to be tonight. We already know game 2 NBA Finals beginning tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, 8 p.m. Eastern on ABC TV. I'll say this, for an off season for the Jets that have been pretty quiet now, Willie, what does a story like this, what could this now do for the Jets?
It's obviously a distraction because in New York media, we tend to blow things up 10 times over. So obviously this will be talked about. It will be handled. It's going to be made fun of. But on the flip side of it, it needs to be awarded. And I think it needs to be handled seriously because the Jets don't need a distraction. And the last thing they need, any altercation, especially when you consider a woman was involved, I mean, that takes it to a whole other atmosphere. Yeah. And so the fact that, once again, and you don't want to be redundant saying this, that Leonard Williams, we both had, I mean, I'm not going to say he was drunk or not, but considering that at a festival people usually drink and have a good time, for him to slow his roll down and say, hey, this looks bad, this is not what we need, I'm a leader on this team, I'm going to shut this down now, that shows maturity. And that's what all ball players need in their locker room, guys who are level-headed, who have maturity, who understand the value and effectiveness of the situation. So for me, it's going to be blown up. It's going to be made a mockery of, but I think Leonard Williams needs I don't know if you give him a game ball in the offseason, but I would give him one.
He's stepping into that leadership role quite well, I'll tell you that.
Thanks for listening to the Locker Room Podcast. Make sure to subscribe by clicking the Listen tab on the ESPN app.